Hello there and thank you for watching this week's Weatherquest farming forecast. So as we go into August, take a look back at July, and it's been a bit up and down as a month for weather really. We've had some periods of drier weather, but they've been interspersed with a lot of few days where there's been a few showers or spells of rain, and that's made it really tricky for those of you that have been trying to get a cut of hay in or starting to get the harvest done. So this is what the July rainfall anomaly across the UK looks like as estimated by the radar. So although there has been those few bits and pieces of rain and showers around, generally it has been below average rainfall across southern areas, particularly South Wales, South West England and along the south coast. You can see parts of the East Midlands, some counties such as Cambridgeshire, Bedfordshire, Essex, Hertfordshire saw slightly wetter than average rainfall, but generally the story has been slightly drier than normal in the south. Further north, particularly across northern England, Northern Ireland and parts of Scotland, it's generally been above average. Those blue colours there showing above average rainfall. Although you can see the very north, northern Scotland and northwestern Scotland have actually seen slightly drier than normal conditions throughout the month. So a bit of a mixed picture across the UK as well. In terms of how that's had an impact on the soil moisture, this is the latest update from the Cosmos UK network from the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology, and it generally follows the same picture. At the end of July, the stations in the southeastern part of the country were showing slightly drier than normal soils, whereas further northwest, where there's been that bit more rain, the soils are slightly wetter than they would normally be at this time of year. So a northwest-southeast divide in soil moisture as well as rainfall. And to be honest, over the next week or so, it doesn't look like there's going to be a huge amount of change on that front. Most of the rainfall forecast is going to be in the north and west, with the drier conditions further south. So let's crack on and have a look at the forecast over the next few days. So this is Tuesday night into Wednesday. Broad area of high pressure centered across Europe. We've got an area of low pressure near Iceland, and that's what's pushing these areas of showery rain across parts of western and northern Britain during Wednesday. You can see those pulses of rain moving northeastwards through the day. The further southeast you are, parts of East Anglia, southern England, southeastern England should stay largely dry. You can see there's potential for a few odd spots of rain or showers by the end of the day on Wednesday, but it looks to be largely dry the further southeast you are, with that rain mainly staying away to the north. Now by Thursday, that rain's mostly out to the northwest as that low pressure pulls away. We get this next area of low pressure pulling in off the Atlantic, but going up the western side, and that will allow this southerly wind to draw up this hot air out of the continent, out of France, affecting parts of southern and central Europe by Friday. So temperatures reaching 34 or 35 degrees Celsius in some southern areas during Friday, with Thursday just touching 30 in the southeast. So Friday looking like the hottest day. You can see that next area of low pressure then pushes up the northwestern side, bringing bits and pieces of showery rain to northern parts of Ireland and northwestern Scotland. And there's potential for a few odd showers on Thursday afternoon in some central areas as well, but many areas during Thursday and Friday will stay largely dry and hot, as we see this area of high pressure then ridging further from the southeast during Saturday. Now, although it's going to turn dry with this high ridging in, the hot temperatures will actually fade away during Saturday. Saturday may just still see a high of 30 degrees in the southeast, but other than that, it's going to be a bit cooler. We're getting to a bit of a northeasterly down East Anglia and southeast England, so feeling a bit breezier, so a bit of a wind chill on the coast as well. But generally, most places ending the week and going into the weekend on a dry and more settled note. Now, a lot of people have still been ringing into the phone lines asking about the potential for get out and do some spraying. So I think the next couple of days, the early part of the week, it's going to be a bit tricky. There is this quite blustery southwesterly wind, a few spells of rain in the north as well. But generally by Thursday and into Friday, looks like there should be more opportunities. The green colours here showing conditions with winds less than 10 miles per hour and no rain. So plenty of opportunities for the back end of the week and into the weekend. Potential for a few showers during the middle part of the week, Thursday, as I said, so one to watch out for, but many places seeing some good opportunities for spraying. You can see that by the weekend, in that freshening northeasterly, parts of East Anglia and southern southeastern England could see a little bit tricky with those south northeasterly winds freshening just that bit more. So if you are wanting to get out and about on the fields for spraying, or for any reason really, feel free to call our forecast hotline and speak directly to one of our forecasters. They're available every day from 6 AM to 6 PM on 09065 77 7675, with calls charged at £1.55 a minute plus any network access charges. And they'll be able to give you up-to-date observations and all the latest data coming in from new models, any changes in the forecast, and any highlights any uncertainty and any risks that may be risk for you out in the field. So worth giving them a call if you've got some activity planned out and about in the fields over the next few weeks. Now into early next week, over the weekend we had that area of high pressure beginning to build in, but into the early part of next week it does look like we might see this area of low pressure develop over France, the Low Countries, and actually push northwards into some parts of southern Britain and Ireland. So potential for seeing some outbreaks of showery rain or a few showers during the early and perhaps middle parts of the week. It's a bit of uncertainty as to how quickly that low will pull away during the middle of next week. So potentially turning a little bit more unsettled through next week. But the further north you are, northern Scotland, northern England, parts of Northern Ireland, that high pressure ridging in from from Scandinavia looks like it will keep things largely dry there. So looking out for the next 10 days or so, this is the probability forecast for Bedford for 10-day maximum temperature. This is a lot of different model runs that are run from the same model, and slight deviations can lead to slight different outcomes. So a higher percentage is when those model runs are in agreement, and a lower percentage is when there's that bit more spread in the outcomes and so a bit more uncertainty. So you can see fairly confident in that we're seeing rising temperatures to Friday. 74% of the model runs for this location going for temperatures above 30 degrees. So a good signal for warmer temperatures by Friday, but you can see then there's that bit more spread into the early part of next week and the weekend. Some of those runs going for between 20-25, some going for 25 to 30. So I think there's going to be a little bit of uncertainty in those temperatures, but generally what we are seeing is a cooling trend from Saturday, Sunday onwards into the early part of next week. So there's a bit more uncertainty. It does look like temperatures generally will be that bit cooler next week after Thursday and Friday. Now in terms of rainfall, this is the same thing here, but for rainfall for Bedford for the next 10 days. You can see fairly good confidence of most places seeing things largely dry over Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, probably into Saturday as well. You can see there's that bit more uncertainty for the weekend. Still the majority of the probability is in those very small amounts of rain or no rain at all, but you can see 6% up to 10-15 mil or so, and that's just due to the potential for seeing a few fairly isolated but potentially quite heavy and perhaps thundery downpours. So many places will miss those, but there is potential if you catch one of those to see a reasonable amount of rain, but the vast majority of places look like they will stay dry over the weekend. Now into the early part of next week, you can see those spreads spread out much further, a lower chance of seeing any specific given scenario. So much more uncertainty from Monday onwards, and that's to do with the uncertainty surrounding that area of low pressure as it comes out of the continent and where exactly it might bring its rain, where exactly it might push showers across. So an increasing uncertainty in terms of the rainfall during the early part of next week, but it still looks like majority of places won't see huge amounts of those rainfalls. Generally look like they're less than 5 millimeters for the majority of places. So you can get information like that with probabilities for many more variables, including sunshine hours, wind speeds, things like that, on our online Weatherquest farming portal. You can also see a detailed hourly 7-day forecast for your specific location, as well as the longer range 4-week monthly forecast. So if you'd like to give that a go, we are offering a 2-week trial. So email your information to info@weatherquest.co.uk and we can set one of those up for you, and you can have an explore around that site and see if there's anything that's good for you in terms of the forecast and getting things done out and about in the fields. So looking a bit further ahead for the next 4 weeks or so, this is the mean pressure anomaly for next week. So as I mentioned earlier, there's that little area of low pressure around the Bay of Biscay, northern France, pushing into the southern parts of the British Isles that could lead to slightly more unsettled conditions there. See elsewhere, generally those pinks showing above average pressure, particularly across northern Scandinavia, much higher pressure there than there normally would be. And in terms of how that's reflected in the rainfall anomaly, many places, much of mainland Europe, seeing below average rainfall. A good signal for that across most of the continent. The only place where there really looks like there could be some wetter than normal conditions is around France, the Low Countries, southern parts of the UK and southern parts of Ireland. And that's due to that area of low pressure bringing areas of showery rain to those locations. So apart from that, generally dry than average across Europe. In terms of temperatures, generally a mild air mass residing over Europe at the minute, and that's going to lead to above average temperatures for most places, particularly across France, the Low Countries, Germany. There's a good signal there for temperatures kind of getting on to 8, 9, 10 degrees above average in some places. So many places above average, but particularly those northwestern areas during next week. Now into the week after, generally we do continue to see this signal for drier than normal conditions. It does weaken compared to the previous week, but generally most places looking like they will see average or slightly below average rainfall. Parts of Italy, central southern Europe and the Balkans could actually see above average rainfall due to some heavy, perhaps thundery showers developing in those locations. So wetter than average in that southeastern part, but many other places looking like they're around or slightly below average. In terms of the temperatures during that the third week of August, still a good signal for above average temperatures across much of Europe, particularly central northern areas where the signal is that bit stronger. Still parts of eastern Ukraine, southeast Europe could see slightly cooler than average conditions as well during that week. Now looking ahead to the last week of August, you can see slight hints of higher than average pressure out to the southwest, and that's generally going to ridge in across much of Europe, leading to more settled conditions. You can see those blue colours there near Iceland and northern Scandinavia, so generally showing lower than average pressure in those locations. And in terms of how that pans out for the rainfall, it looks like most places in central, southern, western Europe below average rainfall with that high pressure ridging in, leading to largely settled conditions. But with that low pressure, we could see a few areas of low pressure come around the northern edge of the high across northern parts of Britain into parts of Scandinavia. So there could be some slightly wetter than normal conditions in those locations just from low pressure moving rain around the northern side of the high. In terms of temperatures, still a good signal across much of mainland Europe for above average temperatures, perhaps just reaching into parts of southeastern Britain, but generally the UK close to average during that period. So to summarise, turning very hot by Friday, but the heat likely not lasting into next week with a cooler air mass affecting us from the weekend onwards. The potential for some rain in southern parts of the British Isles during next week, but keep a close eye on the forecast with this. There is some uncertainty surrounding how that area of low pressure will affect the UK. And then warmer and slightly drier signal than average towards late August for much of UK and Europe as well. So thanks for watching this week's video. If you've got any comments, leave them below or contact us on social media. And as ever, you can keep up to date with the latest forecasts for the British Isles and East Anglia on our social media channels.